had a magic show in the metaverse, and that was weirdly the best bit.
They had a magic show.
Yeah, it was this dude. So like, there were like these people in the metaverse that were like audience members, and they had their little avatar, and they were just like watching this guy do. It was him in the real world, and he had like a camera on like this table where he was doing this card trick, but then it was displayed in meta as like the audience members. They were like drawing something in meta, like they were painting something. Painting in meta looks weirdly good.
It sounds like you're describing like a bad dream.
You're so right. It really was. It was yeah.
I just don't know the advantage of doing that over like a Facebook Live. Like, hey, I'm doing magic.
It was virtually that, but also like having someone join in to draw something, and then like whatever they drew happened to be on the other side of the card of the magicians.
Oh, okay.
So that was the aspect
the new
But that's not magic. That's the computer.
Yeah.
Magic is very acoustic. That's the point of magic.
You're so right.
It's like, oh, what could have caused this thing to be on this guy's card? Yeah, lines of code.
Are you a magic fan? It doesn't sound like it.
I did watch Now You See Me Too before breaking up with my ex-boyfriend.
That's such a funny we're about to have a breakup movie.
But it's the classic we're about to have a breakup. I've had bad luck with that. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend before we were watching 1984 on Broadway, starring Olivia Wilde.
What? That was on Broadway?
Yeah, it was, very briefly. And then we got back together watching the SpongeBob musical on Broadway.
What? There's so many layers to this.
Yes.
I'll throw it back.
This feels like a dream that I had somehow.
I had a dream that Gabby broke up with her girlfriend.
But then
Is that your dream?
Yeah, oh. But no. That you reunite with someone over SpongeBob.
Yeah.
That's my dream.
That's very millennial of you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's
SpongeBob brings people together.
What would be your movie to break up to?
Oh,
that's a great question.
That's really funny. It would probably be like in the 2000 to 2010 range. Just because like there's like a nostalgia factor.
Good vintage.
Yeah. There's something where I don't know, like 50 First Dates. Like we watched 50 First Dates, and then she broke up with me, and now I have to think about that movie every time I think of
50
her.
First Dates. Crazy coincidence. This is our last.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
You notice how this day was very poetic? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Sandler though.
Oh,
I don't want to ruin any Sandler movie, so maybe I wouldn't. If I felt the relationship was on the edge, I wouldn't put on a good Sandler movie because I wouldn't want.
Do you want to ruin Sandler for someone else though?
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, maybe it would put me in a good place before I had to do the breakup, where it's like, oh, we're all having fun, and then it's like, I'm sorry, I got to do this hard thing, but like, Sandler was fun.
She's crying or he's crying. You're like, remember how much fun we were having 2 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Isn't Big Daddy great?
That is a good
It
movie.
holds up.
It's a great movie.
It holds up. Dads still are parents to their kids.
Yes. Our
That
connection
hasn't
doesn't, but
changed.
Sandler, this holds up amazingly. Yeah.
His apartment in that movie is insane.
It's a
It's a Manhattan
Apartments were so good 2004 and before.
Whatever happened to apartments?
Whatever happened to good apartments?
Nobody's talking about this.
Yeah.
They were so good. They were incredible. I mean, and like his whole excuse is like he got hit by a cab or something and he won a big settlement. And I was like, even still, like,
Yeah. That
What are the
wouldn't-
settlements you can get from getting hit by a cab nowadays?
Nowadays-
What's the range?
Uber definitely like nerfed that, and
Yeah.
like now it's like
What's the
50 bucks.
union rate for getting hit by a cab?
It's like a Happy Meal at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the adult Happy Meal.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
not-
excuse
which
me.
is so condescending.
Yeah, they know.
Just
what they're
let
doing.
us get the kids one in peace.
Yeah, I wanted a toy.
I want a toy. Do the adults one not come with a toy?
I don't know.
Different kind of toy.
Yeah.
Here's your butt plug to go with these 6 McNuggets.
That's
Good luck.
So fun. Well, you know how they like in other countries like fast food is like crazy. You
Yeah,
get, like
yeah,
gourmet
yeah.
meals. What if they also come with sex toys? That would be like Japan is sweet.
It would be amazing if they were like, no, contractually, you do have to use it. We will inspect you.
Here's your tapioca dildo. You're
Yeah.
welcome, everyone.
If you want a happy meal, you need to get into BDSM.
Happy
Can't do one
happy
without
ending meal.
Yeah.
We're here to
there
riff.
we go. We're here to riff.
Oh,
Sam
damn.
put me in the right mindset where it was like when you guys had Sam on, I was like, oh, it's Riff City over there. Cool.
Yeah.
It's really anything freaking goes, man. You can tell the saddest or the happiest story. You could put riffs on anything,
That's
Oh, yeah.
beautiful.
anything you want.
Yeah, I get the vibes. I like it.
Yeah. Where'd you get that sweater? I like that sweater a lot.
So in
Is
20
that Sandler? It's
not. It's
Okay.
it's a different Jewish superhero. It's my
Oh.
friend. So in 2019, I did Edinburgh Fringe. and
Bibi Netanyahu.
who was just on Bill Maher. My buddy was like, "This is insane."
Oh my god.
I know, what a terrible
Bill
guy.
Maher has
Yeah.
gone off the rails.
Yeah.
He's the guy I watched as a kid because my
Same.
parents would put him on, and the thing is, like, I agreed with him. I was like, he's making sense, but then he got very intense,
Yeah,
and not in a great way.
yeah. He made a whole movie, but like, aren't people who believe in religion dumb? I was like, I don't know. Like, let them do their thing. Isn't
Yeah.
the
Well, the thing
politician-
is, he brought on really dumb people in that
Yes.
movie.
I remember being very disturbed by that movie because I remember my parents like idolized him, and then like
Yeah.
I watched this movie in theaters where he's like, "Isn't the thing your parents raised you with bad?" And I was like, "They like you. What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, there's so much you could agree on with these people, and you just like are choosing not to.
The thing about your people, they're wrong. Okay.
Yes. There's an impression that'll upset everyone. Just
Yeah.
like you become the Bill Maher guy. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's what I do is like a pale impression of like Kyle Dunnigan's Bill Maher. He does the best Bill Maher. I'll show you later. It is outstanding.
That's hilarious.
Wait, you never said who was on your sweater.
yes.
So in 2019, I went to Edinburgh and I lived with Sam Morrison and a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of other comics. And one of them is pro wrestler Colt Cabana, who is like, he's kind of like the Mark Maron of wrestling. Like his podcast is like, we're going to interview wrestlers, but instead of like, we're going to interview Kyle Dunnigan or whatever, it's like, we're going to interview, I don't know, like some obscure wrestler from 2004. And he's like big in the indie scene. And he's
Okay.
kind of, and he lived with us and he does an Edinburgh show where they invite comics on, they watch bad wrestling and they riff on it. And it's great because he has really rabid fans and you can go every night because it's new clips, new comics. Like you could see the show 30 nights in a row if you wanted.
Awesome.
And so he's Jewish. And when he started pro wrestling, his mom wanted his wrestling name to be the Hebrew Hammer. And instead he came up with this like Hanukkah shirt where each of his arms are one of the lights or whatever.
That's great branding.
Yeah, and I like put up a reel of me doing stand up in this, and like he's like my manager just sent me like a picture. It's like, is this your sweatshirt? And I was like, oh cool, reels have reach.
Yeah, they.
When you said the Hebrew Hammer, that reminds me. Did you know that DJ Khaled's original stage name was like Arab Attack?
No,
That was. I'm pretty sure. I could be, but I'm pretty sure it was something along those lines.
like,
and
we
the-
can't sell
If you say that, you better be sure.
No, I'm hold
Yeah.
on. I'm gonna Google this very quickly.
Did you know that DJ Khaled? Yeah,
Yes.
I hope you're right.
DJ Khaled. Hold on.
Where are you finding this?
Either way-
Wikipedia, reputable organization.
Reputable source. Remember at school they told us don't use Wikipedia?
Yeah. Other names: Beat Novocaine and Arab Attack. Right
I'm more
there.
into Beat Novocaine.
Take it up with Wikipedia, ladies and germs. But yeah, no, he used to be called that, and I think I read that it was after 9/11 that he was like advised, dude, change your name. This isn't a good look.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you know the Mo Amer story where
No.
Mo's brother was like, hey man, you shouldn't go by Muhammad or Mo on stage post 9/11. He's like, because it could be dangerous for you. And Mo Amer goes, dude, you're a pilot. He's like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah.
We were talking yesterday about that thing where Mark Wahlberg said he would have stopped 9/11 if he was there.
Oh, incredible! It's a incredible use of my group text with my friends, where every friend is like, like brings that up constantly because Mark Wahlberg's and it's,
Really?
yeah, we think that's the funniest thing in the world that he thought that he would say that out loud.
It's a fantastic thing to say.
It's such a
so
celebrity
good.
brain, right?
Do
Where
you
he's
think
like
it's true?
that he thinks that.
No, that that it would have happened.
Oh, it definitely would have happened regardless of whether Mark Wahlberg. It probably would have. More people somehow would have been harmed if Mark Wahlberg tried to help. I just don't think like that's such a for me. I'm like, oh, the yes men in his life, just like he can say anything and like, oh, so true, Markic, you're so smart and so good.
So true, guys.
But
Yes.
it feels like he said that in an interview like like he was getting mad about 9/11 all over again because it was brought up to him, and he just kind of impulsively said, if I were there, I would have stopped it. I don't know that people in his life were like in his ear like, you would have stopped 9/11, because that would be crazy.
It would be, but if he says that in public, can you imagine what he says behind closed doors? Like, I bet
What else he thinks he could have stopped? The Holocaust?
the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Yeah.
What if the stuff he says is so gentle? Like, I really like back rubs. Like, what if that's all he says behind closed doors?
What if he was just like, I think I could really revolutionize interior design, just like something really just gentle.
Wahlburgers and interior design. That's what I want. Those are my goals.
This may be a bad question that maybe I should cut out, but I'm gonna say it anyway. What celebrity, other than someone obvious like The Rock or someone like that, do you think could stop 9/11?
Oh wow, that's a
great question.
Yeah.
Do not cut that out.
No, yeah.
No, this is excellent. It would probably be somebody who could have like messed up like logistically. Like it's not brute force.
Yes.
It's intelligence, or like we like hack the mainframe. So who's like
That's
crazy
exactly what I'm
enough to hack Al-Qaeda's servers in 2001?
Who
was even alive in 2000? Because
He was thriving.
I was gonna say like Zendaya, but she was like 3.
No, the answer is Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, for sure.
In a van.
Pure charm.
Yeah,
Pure charm. He's such a charming guy.
Yeah, true.
He just bumbles through. It's like, oh, I guess they wouldn't have called it 9/11 because it didn't happen. I saved whatever this.
I saved September from being
Yeah.
a bad month for people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shalhoub all the way.
Go Shalhoub. You gotta have some Tony
Yeah.
vibes to
The
you.
band Earth, Wind, and
thanks.
Fire
Some
for saving
young
September.
Tony Shalhoub, of course.
Oh, wow. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, I
I'll-
wouldn't have said like current Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, Current's great too.
Current's
The
great,
guy
too.
No,
looks,
he gets
man.
better with time. He's like Helen Mirren.
I thought you were gonna say
He
he's
does
like
have
Helen Keller.
Mirren. Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
our Italian,
Yeah, exactly.
Jewish, whatever he is.
No,
Helen Mirren.
he's Lebanese
See, oh yeah, it's like in
or
Mean Girls.
Egyptian. I could
He's
be.
a
It's one of the
lesbian?
two. Yes, he's.
Good for him.
Good for him.
No, he's a Libra.
Oh, okay, good. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
I just passed the. Do you ever see Marvelous Mrs. Maisel film?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Well, they just like my buddy lives on one of those
when they
streets.
film.
When they film,
I
yeah.
thought you meant a movie. I was like,
No, oh, good for
okay.
them if they do.
I know a bunch of people that have been like extras on.
What a
Maisel.
fun thing to be an extra in. You get the
Oh,
get
yeah.
up.
Yeah, you get to wear those little costumes.
I saw the cars going around. It looked pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
You
Oh,
get to
I
watch
love
Rachel
the old-
Brosnahan be like, and what's the deal with men anyway? I would love to see that in person. I think she's great.
You get to watch someone become Jewish in over the span of seconds. Yeah.
I think people hate that she's not Jewish. I honestly don't care. She kind of
I don't
works
mind
it.
either.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
prefer that she isn't. What do you?
Clip that.
I prefer that she isn't. That's really beautiful. The way you said that. Yeah.
Diversity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Italian, so like, but people think I'm Jewish all the time. Sometimes
Yeah.
I get Greek when the hair is curly. I get
Oh
Greek.
yeah.
Do you guys get confused for anything, or do
Oh,
people
all
like,
the time.
What do you? What do
I
people
get
think?
confused for beautiful.
No,
Yeah.
you're beautiful.
No.
Oh.
How could you get confused for something that you are?
Yeah.
I was fishing for it. Lucas, what do you get confused for? Gay?
Yeah. Oh. It's not being confused if you know. I will tell you one time, and I don't personally agree with this, but a woman in the park stopped me and just asked me, "Are you Colombian?" And I was like, "No," and she was like, "Oh, you look so Colombian." I was like, I need to do further research. And then I asked a bunch of people. I was like, "Do I look Colombian?" They were like, "No." And I don't know. I've gotten like obscure. Well, not obscure, but I've gotten Latin American, South American countries.
Oh, interesting.
Weirdly.
Because like that happens every once in a while. Like my friend Irene Morales is a comic,
Yeah.
and like you would not know that she's Hispanic, and then she starts talking Spanish, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and it's really fun on stage because
Yeah.
people don't know that she knows or whatever, and she can turn it on. But that's
actu-
very rare. I would say.
Yesterday, I was in the park and someone recognized me.
Hell yeah.
But she was like, "Oh, it's nice to see. I didn't know that you're in New York." I was like, "Oh yeah." And she was like, "Are you Slavic, by the way? Just from your name?" And I was like, no. And she was like, really? I was like, I wouldn't lie to you. I was like, no, yeah, I got that a
You're
lot.
the Slavic Rachel Dolezal, just
Yeah,
lying
yeah,
about
yeah.
being Slavic.
I got that a lot in high school. I went to high school with a lot of Russian kids, and a lot of them would ask me if I was Russian.
Oh, interesting.
And no, I'm not. Not at all Slavic.
Well, now as like a public person, like I feel like people want to claim you. They're like, he's Slavic, like
All
us.
the
Like, was she
ethnicities are
Slavic?
fighting
All the
for
ethnicities,
him.
yeah.
Because of like as like an Italian American, like I would never be like, oh, are you Slavic? Because like that would mean nothing to me. But she must be
It
Slavic.
would be
She
funny
must-
if you did. Just be like,
Yeah.
I want you to belong to this group. I just feel like you could do a lot for the
just
community.
like them. They need a win right now.
Yeah, they
Like
do.
no knowledge of current events, just like they need a win. I don't
Yeah.
know why they do. You know what actually was fucked up that used to happen to me during COVID was I would be like wearing a mask and people would start speaking Spanish to me, which I don't know Spanish, and then I would lower my mask and they would go, "Oh, never mind. It's the nose."
Oh, the
Whoa.
nose gives it away.
Is your nose like very Spanish or Latino? What?
No,
what?
no. The lack of nose, I look kind of Latino or Latina, I guess.
Huh.
And then you take the mask down, and there's the Jewish nose. I honestly think that's it. And there is a Jewish nose. People say there's not, but
I don't think. When I think of like a Jewish, I don't.
which you think of often,
No, which
as you've admitted.
that's how I climax. Is I think of a Jewish nose right at the crest, right at the crest. Hey, we don't kink shame on this pod- no.
Welcome to Two Nosy
Welcome to Two Nosy
Meerkats.
Meerkats.
Two nose.
Two
Oh, yeah.
Nosy Meerkats.
I'm ashamed of myself that I didn't pick up on that, but I'm not ashamed of our wonderful, wonderful guest.
Oh, I'm not ashamed of him either. We just met, and I'm less ashamed of him than ever before.
Oh, indeed. He has a show coming out very, very soon off Broadway here in New York City. Please give a round of applause for Gabe Mollica.
Oh, thank you. I'm clapping for myself. It's really nice to be here. I really appreciate it. This was like, I have like things that I'm doing to promote, and this was when I was like, I can't wait to do this. This will be
Oh,
fun.
hell
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's
What else are you
exciting.
doing? What are you up to?
I was telling Gabby, I did Jared Freed's podcast. I'm doing
Yes.
Pix 11 News. I'm doing Comedy Central Radio. So only good things.
Nice.
So I'm like, this week, I'm just like, oh, every day is like a
So you're
fun
not doing
thing.
Rogan?
People recommend that to me. I was like, do you think that's possible? Like do you think I could just get, also it's like, if I could pull off like a crazy, like, oh, I did this massive podcast, that would not be the one I would pick. You
Yeah,
know?
I
I
don't
would
think
want to do
so.
like Marin or Pete Holmes or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Those would be good.
As the vibe. Do you guys have like a dream pod that you
A
listen
dream
to?
pod?
Oh, I do actually. Your Mom's House podcast.
Who's that?
Do you know that's Tom Segura and Christina Pajitsky's? Tom Segura is like my favorite comedian in the world. I adore him.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting,
He's
yeah.
a huge influence on me. Huge
Fun.
influence on me.
He's so good. I actually see it a little in your material. Like you guys kind of strive for the same thing. I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's in my mind, he's like the goat of storytelling and withholding information until like the perfect moment. He's very controlled like that. I'm like, ooh, that's good. Yeah. So
Very, very subtle.
who's like a modern idol for you?
Oh, this is a great question. So,
Yes.
if you like, the show is very like Birbiglia inspired. Like I love
Love
those specials.
Birbiglia.
When I saw My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, like my brain
So good.
imploded.
Yeah.
And I was dating someone at the time, and we watched it, and I was like, I want to do a solo show like that. That was amazing. And I remember her being like, you're too impulsive. Like you got to like pick a thing. And I was like,
And then her boyfriend came along.
yeah, then we
You
watched
were like, well,
SpongeBob.
now I have to do this show.
Yeah, so Birbiglia is like the big one, and then Hassan Minhaj, I'm gonna say the name right. I work with his director, and so like what I didn't know during COVID was like, oh, if you like somebody and like look who works on their things, and like those people have emails. It's like
Yeah.
they have hourly rates. Like you can just like message people. It's sweet.
incredible.
So I
true.
started doing that. So those are the two. Just like because they do solo shows, like Segura, I love because like you can get like a 15-minute story and it's really like thought out. But what I like about Birbiglia and Hassan Minhaj is like they'll connect those things into like a bigger story. And that's like what I do. Ideally speaking, if people come to this run, I can do this like I can make a solo show every like 3 years and just do that forever. That's like the dream.
So
Yeah.
how did you like conceptualize this solo show? Like how'd you come up with your stuff for it?
Before you answer, I want to ask you who is your modern idol?
Yeah.
Oh, my modern idol.
Yes.
Oof. Christine from Selling Sunset.
I love that for you. That's beautiful.
Have you ever seen Selling Sunset?
No, but I know. The
You know
vibes.
that.
Oh yeah. You're
know the
familiar
vibes.
with her work.
You
Yeah.
know, somebody wrote into the podcast saying they started watching it because of listening to us.
That's
Amazing.
You're
Yeah.
an influencer.
I'm so glad.
As I've always dreamed of. Other modern idols include I'm a big fan of Fiona the hippo from the Cincinnati Zoo. She's a really good comic.
She's the new Harambe. She's like your.
I wouldn't compare them because, I mean, I think. Well, I also think some people they're like trying to be their influences, and the thing with Fiona is she's, at first when she started, she was sort of doing a Harambe impression, but. Then, she kind of got older and more seasoned, and she started doing her own thing, and I really admire that for her. So she gets compared a lot, but I try and differentiate her.
That's beautiful. I love that your comedic influences are not comedians. That I think truly makes the best art. When you're like, I'm a filmmaker, but I love this artist. I'm like, oh, that person's smart and cool.
Yeah, I agree with that because one of my favorite Korean pop singers
intellectual HIPAA property theft.
Oh wow, that was ambitious.
Get
that was awesome.
Here. Get out of here. Yeah, all my favorite Korean pop singers have favorite Korean art house pop directors, and I'm like, oh, they're sick artists, and they're gonna make cool things. All the art connects with each other. So that's when I see, that's why when I see Fiona doing her thing, I'm like, girl, you've got this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
So tell us about your show.
Yes, please.
Is Fiona involved?
She wasn't. No animals were harmed in the making of my
Okay.
show. How did I put it together? So I did a version of it in 2019. That wasn't bad. I just didn't know how to put a solo show together. And also I was I mean, you guys can relate to this, I'm sure. It's I was working out this material at open mics and then connecting it and putting it into a show. It's that's not tenable. You can't do that forever. And so, just at one point I wrote down all my jokes and then I wrote down all my stories and I started connecting stuff. We're like, oh, this joke could go into that story. And you start smoothing it out. And then I had this one, there's a 40-minute story in the show of kind of a love triangle with a best friend and a girlfriend. And so that's the last 2/3 of it. But it was a thing that happened when I was 23. And so I was trying to temporize it and figure out how does this affect me as a 30-year-old man? And then that's when I realized I was my mom got sick and my friends from home didn't know how to react. They were sending me WebMD articles and shit. They were just being very inappropriate. And I was like, oh, the show's about how I don't have friends. Shows about how my friends are inadequate.
Oh, interesting.
And as men, we don't know how to connect with each other.
Right.
So I once I figured that out, then that made the 40-minute story make sense more. It's I had a best friend, it didn't work out.
Of course.
So
you're finding actually how you feel about something and what your opinion is.
Yeah. Help the comedy way more than the joke writing. Yeah.
When did you meet your best friend who's featured in the show?
We met in college. And I spend kind of 25 minutes talking about how in high school I'm a musical theater kid, and I had my musical theater friends, and then I had my straight friends.
Yeah.
And so I had these two groups that didn't like each other, but I was the thing in the middle, and I kind of felt like an outsider in each group. Where my straight friends were why do you hang out with those guys? They do extracurricular activities.
And your musical theater friends why don't you fuck us?
Yeah. Come on, man. No.
Honestly, they weren't as horny as I'd hoped. That was for college. That was for my co-ed a cappella group to figure out.
Oh, a cappella is the horniest second to furries. The horniest group.
Do you have experience with the?
Imagine I was
furries?
Yeah. That's why do you think I love Fiona so much? She really talks about that community. She really opens that world up.
Famously, hippo's not that furry.
You'd think.
Oh.
They have a kink though.
They
like to.
But when they dress up for it, you wouldn't believe.
Were you guys theater kids too?
I was, yeah, big time.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was
huge.
annoying about it. I wanted I told a group of I was in an acting class when I was 11, and I told the group because the acting teacher was like, "What do you want in your career?" Which is a bizarre question for 11-year-olds.
Child, yeah.
And I was honest. I was like, "I want to be famous. I want a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I want an Academy Award." That's what I said. None of those things tenable because I wasn't talented enough in that field. And then I think a guy in that same circle said something like, I want to be a working actor. I want to make money off of what I do. And that was the first time I realized that was also a goal that was valid. And that day on, I was like, that's what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about the other
That
thing.
kid grew up to be Tony Shalhoub.
Who almost stopped 9/11. Not quite.
He could have.
Yeah.
If he had been at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the same experience. I was in community theater, and we had this drummer, and he took. This sounds weird in retrospect. He took all the kids out to a diner to hang out.
Was he
old? He wasn't that old. He was probably like in his like early 40s.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
started talking to him, and I was like, "So what's the goal, man? Like, you want to win a Grammy?" And he goes, "Man, I got this drum book at home. I'm really trying to like figure out like a practice book." And I was like, "Oh, it's about the work." Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's about like writing jokes. It's like, do you want to like play Madison Square Garden? I'm like, I'm working on this bit. That's really I can't
Yeah.
figure out. That's what comedy is. I think.
Yeah. I love that perspective.
wonderful.
So much. Yeah.
I even remember I used to listen because like I used to be like a full-time voice actor, and I used to listen to this podcast called Talkin' Tunes with Rob Paulson, and he was talking about like how he would like coach a lot of people, and that he met this one guy who said, you know what, I don't actually want to pursue like acting or anything professionally. I think I just want to do community theater. I'm really satisfied with my job, and I just love doing this as a hobby, and I just want to get as good as possible at this and just enjoy it purely for
Yeah.
myself. And
Yeah.
he was like, that's beautiful. And he shared that, and I was like, oh wow, because that didn't even occur to me as like a thing to do. And I definitely wanted to pursue performance professionally, but it was a beautiful reframing of just like how you could feel about something.
Yeah. And it's totally valid to want to be famous, and it's totally valid to want to work. Like, you have to meet enough people in the field to be like, what's my lane of this?
I think it's psycho when people want only to be famous.
Yeah.
Like adults, not
Yeah.
kids.
Oh yeah.
It's off-putting.
I mean, I remember a certain celebrity from my high school who wasn't a celebrity at the time but became one, like literally asking our teacher, like, how can I get famous? And the teacher giving him like actual tips. And I think the teacher said something like, you have to make yourself a brand. You have to like, you have to do everything. You have to sing, you have to dance, you have to act, you have to like get yourself on merchandise, you have to sell yourself as this brand.
Whoa.
And he did it, and then he got me too. So, didn't work
Wow.
in the long run.
Okay.
And that teacher got kicked out of the school for sending dick pics to students. So no one was.
No, Daddy, no. You're just watching this train wreck happen in real
Yeah,
time.
I was like, boom, crash, boom. Like, I'm going to do a podcast in 10 years and talk about this.
Well, it's like, you know those moments when you're like, you need a Jim from The Office, like to make eye contact with the camera? I think about those
Yes.
all the time. I feel like you needed someone in that class to be like,
I did it. No one
Yeah.
would do it. That was the problem with LaGuardia High School. No one would ever look back at me and be like, what is happening?
oh, that's
Everyone
So
was-
you thought that you were the weirdo for thinking this was strange?
This is why I'm so neurotic, Lucas. I genuinely
God.
like would watch these interactions for 4 years, and I thought I was a freak for thinking that they were bizarre.
that you have no idea how the way I relate to that is being an only child
Oh, for sure.
is because like there were a lot of times where I was like, this doesn't feel right, and then I would just be left alone with my own thoughts, and I would think, oh no, I'm the person that's awful. And
Having a
and-
sibling
yeah.
is so good for that. Do you have siblings?
I do have a sister who does comedy.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, she just made a house team at the Magnet. She's an improviser.
Well, that's
Whoa.
awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats to her.
Thank
that's
you.
so
Yeah,
cool.
her name is Kay. She writes for Reductress.
That's so
She's
cool.
super
That's fucking
funny.
awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
I did classes at improv classes at Magnet just before the pandemic began.
Oh, it's the best.
I loved it there. Amazing vibe, very community, very family.
Because when I started,
wonderful.
It was UCB, and there was also the Magnet. And I remember like being at UCB, and it felt kind of like Broad City had just kind of taken off, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like this like air about it where it's like people are in this class are trying to be famous, and then I'd go to the Magnet and be like, cool, like people just want to like
Yeah.
do shit, yeah. So I was always like, I'm buying Magnet stock. The Magnet's on the
Nice.
way
Magnets on the rise.
I still remember an improvised musical that was at
So good.
Magnet. Just one night, just like the opening number, that is burned in my memory forever because it was just that
Improvised
good.
musicals are dope. Yeah.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. So do you have musical stuff in your show? Like, do you sing a little?
I don't. People want me to because I do like a 5-minute Sondheim joke because I used to write letters to him when I was a kid. So
What?
yeah, like
That's so sweet.
What did you write?
So in high school I wrote like fan letters, and then in college I wrote letters. I was like a musicologist. I was like studying. Well, it was more like music theory. I was like studying Into the Woods. And we
Okay.
compared like the first act is about getting what you want, and the second act is about consequences.
Mm.
And so like from a musical perspective, it's like what happens to the music that changes.
Oh.
And so I wrote him letters about that. And yeah, he's the best. He's like my
Did
favorite.
he reply?
Oh yeah, I have like 5 or 6 letters from on a typewriter.
Oh.
And then he would sign them. He would hand sign them. And then at one point he goes, "I'm sorry, I can't hand sign this letter. Like I hurt my wrist and I can't sign them." So I have these like, it's
Wow.
like a defective one. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I'm a big Sondheim guy. So I don't sing in the show, but people who've seen the show who I like ask for feedback and stuff like that, they're like, it might be something you should consider.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like a very sort of negative part of my brain is thinking, did he use that excuse on other people that wrote to him?
Yes.
No, he's too good. R.I.P. Man, that guy was dope.
He was incredible.
When he died, I was at a party of all married people, and I'm like a 30-year-old single dude, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I got in the car, and my therapist from college called me on the phone to make sure I was okay. And so a bit in the show is like, do you know how much you have to talk about Sondheim 10 years ago in therapy for your therapist to call you on the phone?
Who you haven't? When was the last time you spoke to your therapist?
Like on the phone, never. We'd only ever like messaged.
And your therapist called and was like, Bobby, baby, Bobby, honey.
No one is alone. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I love Sondheim. He's like the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he came into your life like around the same time as like you were studying musical theater, musicology, and that was during this love triangle?
Yeah, it was all around the same time.
What
Oh
a fucking
goodness.
perfect storm.
Yeah, it's a perfect story.
Of course you wrote a play about it.
I know. It's
Yeah.
so funny. And I at the time, I was like a singer first. I was a singer and then I was an actor. Like I was like good at singing, so I could like get roles just because I could sing. And then it occurred to me later, I was like, oh, I wasn't connecting to the song so much as like the characters, but I didn't realize that at the time. I was like, oh, I just like nice songs to sing. And then I was like, all these characters are lonely and like messed up. And I was like, hell yeah. Like Bobby's not like okay. He like needs some help.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm lonely. I'm messed up.
I need some help.
Other people are like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more of a womanizer than I am, I like to think, but I feel that.
That's so cool. Wait, do you
Thanks, man.
remember in high school or college, like a role that you just knocked out of the park where you're like, that was my role.
That's
That was my time to
question.
shine.
That's
yeah.
the ultimate theater kid
Oh,
question.
yeah.
And I'm
the
going to
ultimate
ask you
theater.
guys right back.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I played Mr. Mushnick in high school in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, yeah.
And that was prime Italian Jewish alliance. Where I'm like, yeah, Rachel Brosnan, super problematic. I'm in 9th grade, like doing that.
But 9th grade, it doesn't count. I did some shady stuff in 9th grade.
Totally.
Don't look it up. Gabby Brown, 9th grade. Don't look it up.
Don't go on Yahoo.
Do not go on Quora.
Don't ask Jeeves.
4chan will not give you the right answers.
You will not find this info in a Quibi.
Oh, Quick Bite. Who did
Is
you
that
guys
what
play?
it was?
Yeah, Quick
Yeah,
Bite.
it's the
I
quick
had no
bite.
idea what it
Yeah,
was.
dude.
Yeah, it turned out to be a fast meal.
A happy meal, so to speak.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
An unhappy meal.
No sex toys in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys play that you like was like, this is who I am?
When I was in high school, I played Willie Clark in the Sunshine Boys.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
And I was really proud of that performance because there was this teacher who was like very sort of like within our high school, he was like very popular and very beloved. His name was Mr. Schwartz. He's still a working actor. Shout out to Rory Schwartz.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, he came to see it and he told me that my performance made him cry. And
I love that.
I was so touched, and so I was really, really proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in college, though, I in one play I played Elizabeth I, Adolf Hitler, and Ronald Reagan.
That's a tough costume change.
Oh, multiple costume changes because like it was first act was Elizabeth I, second act was Hitler, and then in the third act I did all three.
Not a bad fuck, marry, kill.
Dream blunt rotation.
I'm just imagining someone was in charge of the mustache. We're like, no, that's Elizabeth. Take off the mustache.
I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious, like, you kill Hitler, of course.
Duh.
Woke, you...
Yeah, well, if you want to be boring.
Yeah, please.
You guys are just kowtowing to the woke mob.
Everyone on Twitter is saying, kill Hitler. What a bunch of snowflakes. You fuck Reagan and
Libs,
you marry Lizzie.
Yeah, for
Lizzie
sure.
the Leslie.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and say, do you guys ever play Flowers for Algernon?
I know.
I
There's a
know
great
of
Simpsons
it.
episode about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where
is
Homer has
there-
that experience, yeah.
I remember Jon Stewart once on The Daily Show making a reference to Flowers for Algernon, and then there's no response from the audience, and he just goes, "Read a book, people."
That's phenomenal. It's a really good play. I
Yeah.
played this doctor named Dr. Niemer. They gender bent. It's a male character. They gender bent it. And I didn't expect it. Like, it was like my senior year of high school, so I had sort of checked out. I didn't honestly even like acting anymore. But when I read for it, something about like the character's like hyper intellectual anger like really clicked for me, because that was what like I would use in school as a defense mechanism. Like I would try and be like the smart kid and like take it out on everyone to like assert my dominance over the fact, and like try and take some control over my life, you know, over my depression and whatnot. And I felt that like, you guys know as actors, like sometimes you like get a role or whatever, you read the script and you don't expect it to click. You're just like, I can play this character in my sleep.
Yeah.
Like I just am this character. And I fucking crushed. It was like, I didn't even need to do like half the preparations I would do for other characters. I was just like, oh, I was like born to play this role in this stupid one act play, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
And it was a fun thing because like it had to be a very contained role, and I didn't used to like playing contained. I used to like screaming, crying, lashing out on stage, whatever, and in real life.
Yeah, but it's under the surface.
Although it was all under the surface, and then at the end, the character basically has kind of an explosion when the main character confronts the doctor being like, your experiment doesn't work, and he has to be like, fine, no, it doesn't work. And I got to have that kind of like last meltdown at the end, and I felt really proud of it. And my old science teacher said like is still friends with my mom and apparently still talks about it, which so I'm kind of proud of it.
What does the science teacher say? Just be like, oh, we've had a lot of plays since, but nothing as good as what Gabby did.
The science teacher said, yeah, I remember when I did that experiment. No, I don't know what he says.
I was thinking of a science joke also.
Yeah.
You guys has high school theater people, you'll appreciate this. So my high school was like,
Where did you grow up?
Long Island.
Long Island, yeah.
Garden City High School is where I went, and the music department ran the plays, and so there was one theater teacher, but I had to drop her class freshman year to take like a higher level choir. And we've since and so like we didn't really have a relationship, we weren't that close, and we've since become friends on Twitter, and she's always like retweeting my stuff, like being really nice about it. And the other day she retweeted like, hey, my former student's doing a run off Broadway, you guys should go. I wasn't even really that nice to him. And I was like, justice for me. I knew it. I knew she didn't like me, and she knew she didn't like me. And it was like this weird like, oh, when adults like are a little mean to you, like they know.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that was really brave of her to just like admit in a funny way. I was like,
That
you're
is
cool.
It's also makes her so likable. Just being
Right?
like, hey, I was a little bit of an asshole at this time. I recognize that.
Yeah.
Just that's good.
Yeah, it was cool.
I have a visceral memory of a high school teacher that if she apologized, I would accept it, but I have
Lucas, it's not gonna happen.
No.
Listen, if she came on this pod and she apologized to me right now for
I wouldn't
everything she
invite
said,
her on. She doesn't deserve it. No.
She was mean to you.
Miss Russo.
What'd she do, man?
Oh, let me tell you. She was an English teacher, and but for some reason her office was in the theater department,
Okay.
in like the theater office in my high
evil.
school. And yeah, disgusting.
Can't be trusted.
Mixing flavors? No. But she stopped. I was going in to like ask a theater teacher something, and she stopped me as I was going in. By the way, my the grading system in my high school was instead of like ABC, it was like E, G, S, and then N. It would be excellent, good, satisfactory, no credit. That was the grading system in my high school. And so she stopped me before I went in and she was like, I just wanted to let you know you got an S this quarter. And I was like, okay. She was like, I just wanted you to know. And then she just walked right past me.
Cold.
So precise and sort of like under the surface, just like so like cutting and neat, but not like a jab, but just like a little, I just wanted to annoy you and get in your head.
Yeah. What do you think she didn't like about you?
It wasn't just me. Everyone else had similar stories. She just didn't like, and she had a lot going on in her life, and she took it out on students. She was one of those people.
I would say she sounds like something was happening. Like you guys ever had like those teachers who you later realized like they were on so many drugs?
I didn't go to theater high school, so maybe my experience was slightly different. I was like taking biology.
This is the point where LaGuardia is very particular, I think.
Okay, we had a health teacher, Dr. Kaufman. Shout out to, I hope you're okay. She would like come into class zooted, just catatonic off of God knows what. And she would say things like, you know, you never know what's on the toilet seat. She would say things like, oh God, what she always used to harp on this idea that 4 people a year die from jumping into a pool with no water. As if like we were gonna do that. She would like every single class she'd bring it up. And she'd be like, it's called the Darwin Awards. Like, whoever dies the stupidest way.
Yeah.
Gets-
I remember those books.
I think I have a couple of them somewhere around here.
Yeah. That's what she was obsessed with as a health teacher.
Yeah.
She was like obsessed with that as a health teacher. And then I found out like 2 years later, she came into a class like slurring her words, like falling all over herself. She had to be escorted out of the class. So she was like,
what was she
she
on?
was like high. I mean, I don't know, probably like opioids or something.
Oh my God. Poor
Wow.
thing.
Yeah. That's...
Which is kind of like a Darwin Awards vibe.
That reminds me, when I was in middle school, I had this French teacher. Should I say her name? This is gonna end up with Miss Welsh. Sucks to be you right now.
Not a very French name.
No, I don't think she actually was French, but she would give us detention a lot because she thought that we were talking a lot in class, and then she would say, all right, who was talking? And none of us were, and so none of us would volunteer. She would be like, all right, you're all, because we could go out to lunch. We didn't have to stay in the school building. We could go into nearby, like within a 2-block radius, you can get food at like different shops and restaurants nearby for lunch.
New York City, man. It's a
It was
different
cool.
world.
Yeah. What did you guys do for lunch?
In middle school, the cafeteria.
Yeah,
Oh,
cafeteria.
yeah.
Yeah, we
But-
couldn't drive.
Chocolate milk.
Oh, like in the Rebecca Black video for Friday, those 13-year-olds driving.
So good.
Yeah.
though.
But Miss Welsh, so she would, if none of us would volunteer, she would be like, all right, you all have to stay inside. None of you can go out for lunch. And this would happen like a good few times. And then when I got to high school, and then when I was a sophomore and there were people from my middle school who came to my high school who were a year younger, I asked them, I was like, is Miss Welsh still there? And they were like, oh, you didn't hear? I was like, how would I hear? What happened? And they were like, oh yeah, Miss Welsh had schizophrenia. She was hearing voices.
No.
And so she was removed as a teacher.
No.
Blew me away. I was like, I lost so many days because of
Who's
that
talking?
undiagnosed. Swear to God, this is 100% true.
No, Daddy, no. That's such a bad thing to have for as a middle
I
school teacher
know.
when talking. Oh, man.
No,
Yeah.
Daddy, no. Where did you get that one?
That's
no,
a Mr. Deeds quote.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas, it's these stories are, I was gonna say, they're making you sound like you were a bad kid. I feel like you must have been a pleasure to have in class. I feel like you must have had that a lot, right?
he was a total pleasure.
Must have been.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely was too.
You were a pleasure. You were,
You were a
to
pleasure to
class.
have in class. Derogatory.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Yeah, I would get in trouble. I got in trouble in college.
Really?
What'd you do?
Yeah, 2 things I got in trouble for.
Okay.
One is I took a physics of music class because I was like, it could be good to do something with math. And then I got like halfway through the semester, I was like, oh, like I'm doing fine, but I would like to not have to worry about the grades. So I want to take the class pass fail. And they were like, oh, that deadline was like 3 days ago. So you just got to write an appeal. So I wrote an appeal. I was like, hey, it would make my life a lot easier, blah, 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 blah. And I submit it and they go, great, you're accepted. Now you have to write a 5-page essay on the importance of deadlines. And I was like, no, like, fuck you. I wrote the appeal. That should be it. Like, writing should not be a punishment. Writing should be like a thing that you do to convey something. And so it was 2 things. It was the importance of deadlines and personal responsibility.
Oh.
And so I wrote an essay about how Mitt Romney, back in 2012, a big political scandal was that Mitt Romney said that 51% of Americans aren't responsible because they don't pay income tax. And people got upset about that. Years later, we're like, oh, people say worse shit every day. But at the time, it was like a big scandal. And so I wrote about how like my dad went to law school when I was in high school and he like changed our lives. And like for a while, he didn't pay federal income tax. Does that mean he's lazy? By that definition of personal responsibility. In the same way, I have personal responsibility. I just missed the deadline by 3 days. Like, fuck you. But the part that got me in trouble was that I also said, and the reason I exist is because of a missed deadline, because in the spring of 1991, my parents had a nice seafood dinner and went home to consummate their personal relationship. And 7-Eleven had closed at 11 p.m. and they couldn't buy condoms, and therefore I was born. And so like the only reason I'm here is because of a missed deadline, which I don't know if it's true, but it was fun to write about. And
it wasn't true.
Oh no, I made it up. But they were upset.
I fully believed you. I was like, oh, this is how you came to be.
I didn't believe it because I was like, there's no way your parents were like, and then the 7-Eleven was closed.
No, I'm sorry. You don't understand how the heat of the moment sometimes takes you. I'm sorry. If 7-Eleven's closed, you're just looking at each other's eyes and hey.
It's a very Florida birth. And then the other time I got in trouble was in college. I got caught hooking up. It's in the show. I got caught hooking up in the library in school. And it was like 4 a.m, and I was like, I was on third base.
Whoa.
Like, oh, I don't want to get too graphic, but I was using my face, is how I say it in the show.
Sure.
And then campus police walk in, and then I pause the show and I go, a lot of guys talk about it, but I'm the first guy in history to literally go down in the history books.
Yeah.
And that usually gets a big reaction, and they go, I like that one too.
That's really good. Oh,
but besides that, it was a pleasure to have in class. People
what was it like to be caught by campus police doing that?
It was it was more embarrassing for her,
of course,
because like she was in the exposed position. Like when I read the letter on stage, and it's like this person. I use a fake name for her. I was like, this person's like, we were both wearing dresses. It's a long story. We were at the Rocky Horror Picture Show party. You really got to see the show.
Yeah.
Got to see the show. DM me for a promo code. And so like they were like, this person had like her dress like down by her knees, and like Mollica was not seen to be unclothed. Is my favorite detail.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
They were like, what a cuck. He was going down. Nothing penetrative happened.
Yeah.
Write that shit down.
He wasn't even equally unclothed. Not an ally.
Not an ally. So you were a Rocky Horror fan then?
We weren't. Well, I mean, like musical theater world, but it was just like the way I went to Hamilton College, and the way the campus worked is that they didn't want kids drinking alone in dorms, and so they would give like frats and like the ELA, like the English Lit Society, money to have all campus parties with kegs, with the idea being if we can get them in public with kegs, they won't go to the hospital. The way kids go to hospitals is behind closed doors with hard alcohol.
I think that's probably true.
That makes sense to me.
I think it kind of worked in this weird way, because at the time you're 18, you're like, there's beer here. They'll just give me beer for no reason.
Yeah.
But like no one was getting, like they did statistical analyses, and they were like, no one's going to the hospital for beer in public. And so they would do this. And so like it was mostly frats, but every once in a while they'd let the ELA Society like throw a party, and they were like, cool, we're going to go more hardcore than all you guys. And everyone's going to wear dresses and corsets and go to like the middle of campus. So it was that night.
Do you think that like the constriction of like your abdomen would like would probably make you throw up more? As there's less space.
The corset definitely did it.
Yeah, very Jane Austen complaint.
Yeah. I wouldn't want.
Jane Austen had one glass of wine and then was like throwing up all over campus. I don't know. She
could not hold her liquor.
Yeah. Jane Austen was a floozy.
Total fucking wimp. Yeah.
So I got in trouble twice, I guess. I'm trying to think more than that.
I did not get in trouble that often. I did get once caught by campus police because I was very visibly drunk. But honestly, they probably saved my life, because I was trying to like walk home and I was literally falling down in the middle of the road. I was like that drunk. And I eventually like had to see like a counselor who I was put on like probation. I was basically just given a warning.
Yeah.
But it sort of like it gave me the perfect amount of. They scared me just enough so that I knew to like take care of myself and pace myself from then on, and then nothing bad ever happened again.
That's good.
So yeah, it was ultimately a good thing what happened to me.
Yeah, same. I got EMT'd like my first weekend of college, because like I drank in high school a little bit. I was like, I can handle it. And I just like got wasted because I thought I could handle it, and they were like, we could send you to the hospital, but you're just gonna be really hungover tomorrow. And so like it was honestly, I didn't go to the hospital, which I wanted, and then the next day I learned my lesson because I felt like death for 24 hours.
Yeah, kids don't drink beer outside in public.
Yes, do the Hamilton College model.
Yes, exactly. With friends, not alone. With friends. Yes.
I remember once I got in trouble in middle school, not for anything like drinking or drugs, but because I got too bro-y with the principal.
Too chummy.
He and I used to like joke because he was from Boston, so he's a Red Sox fan, and I was a Yankees fan, and I'd be like, "Go Yanks," he'd be like, "Go Sox," and I like felt a rapport with him, and I've always been close to my dad, so I'd see an older man, and I'd be like, "Oh, he's cool, I'm gonna mess around with him," and then I think one time I went up to him and I was like, "Fuck the Red Sox, Mr. Cassidy," and he, like this, like imagine this like 12-year-old saying that to you, and he like pulled me aside and he was like, "You're getting detention," and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, like, I'm not your friend, I'm your principal, so, like, I have to give you detention." And it was, like, a huge, like, I was, like, sobbing, crying.
Of
like,
course, yeah.
I, like,
oh my God.
I had to, like, call my mom. I was like, "I'm getting detention." And she was, like, obviously very upset. And then she called the principal, and he definitely had to explain what happened, and I was not privy to that conversation, which I'm relieved about.
Do you remember your mom's reaction after the phone call was done?
She never let on anything to me about. I'm sure she was like, "This is mortifying for her. I'm not gonna rub this in her face."
But was there any sense of like the principal like knowing the context of why you said that? Was that, I mean,
He did, but the way he chose to handle it was kind of crazy. I'm sure he was just in a bad mood that day, but he was like, to like give someone suspension for a rapport you created.
wait, were you suspended or detention?
Or detention, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But it felt so big. I'm sure it was probably like one of the worst moments of your life.
Oh yeah.
It felt terrible, but I ultimately needed those humbling moments to not be such a pick-me.
I think I remember because I also tried to be like a goody two-shoe. I really tried as much as I could, and I remember I was once sent to the principal's office for talking during a fire drill, and it wasn't me. I was framed.
Who framed
Which
you?
schizophrenic
Amal.
teacher said
Yeah,
you?
which
Amal was talking.
Yeah, I was sent to the principal's office because of her, and I was
Oh,
Amal
I thought you
Clooney.
said Amal.
no.
It was all.
It was a shopping center. Is that what you thought I meant?
I was just like, why would he say that? Was it like in the mall?
It wasn't me. It was an
Wasn't me,
entire
it was
mall.
the whole ass mall.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
Amal Clooney.
Yeah, Mollica.
Mollica.
Mollica. It was no, it was this girl called Amal who was talking. I was like, shush, or something. I was something like that, and then they were like, both of you out, and I was like, what the fuck? I was so mad. I got a call to my parents as well, and it was just like, my parents didn't believe me. I was just like, especially I just felt so alone and so betrayed by the system.
No one's believing me.
Exactly.
There's no recourse. Yeah, those moments. It's so funny. Like you were like when you say like I got detention or whatever. When I hear that, I'm like, oh, at the time that would have ruined my life. Even
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so small. Like I work in a high school now, and I'm just like,
Oh, what do you do?
I run a writing center at a high school.
That's awesome. What is that like?
I don't give grades, so it's great. So like I never have to tell
that's
people that they're
good.
only satisfactory. I'm literally just there to help. Kids come with me with their writing, and they're just like, I have questions, and I help them. And it's like something embarrassing I realize is like I do solo shows, but it's just an adult college essay. Where it's like kids are like trying to like unload their trauma or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I do that an hour at a time on stage.
Wait, you're right. Are college essays getting more? I always hated that they're sort of like trauma contests.
Yeah,
Do you think they're getting more or less like that?
I try to get kids to think smaller.
Okay, good.
Oh, can I tell you the best essay? I've ever
Yes.
read?
Oh,
yes.
yes.
This essay effed me up. It was so good. So I'm reading this essay, and it's about how it's like when I was in third grade, everyone in class made fun of me because when I ate cereal, I like would put milk in the microwave. And everyone she's like, even the teacher was like, you're a weirdo. And she's like, I was like, she doesn't use the word bullied, but she was like, it felt like I was like totally isolated, totally alone. And so I'm reading this essay, I'm like, that is weird. Like, this is a weird thing to do. I'm like, okay, but like, go on. And I'm reading, and it's like, what you look for in these kind of essays is like, for me, it's like short, clear sentences. If a kid's writing short, clear sentences, I'm like, they know how to like think like a writer. And so I'm reading, and it's going along, and she's like, and then she's like, it's just what we did at home. My mom and dad would pour cereal, and they'd put milk in the microwave, and then they pour cereal into it. And she's like, and then I visited my family in Bangladesh. And we're in Bangladesh, and I'm with my grandma, and she goes, all right, it's time for breakfast. And she goes out back, and she like milks a goat and brings the milk in, and the milk was warm. And she's like, my parents were just doing what they learned in Bangladesh. And I was like, that's an essay. I was like, holy, and it's about like understanding where you come from and who you are. And like, even when you don't see things, like you come from generations of people. And I was like, this is the best essay in the world. And it's about so simple. One detail in the world she observed and it became an essay. Where like, sometimes the essays get bad when they're like, they're trying to pull like 15 things of trauma.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I always say, I'm like, if this is the novel of your life, great, put in every detail. But we have 600 words. So like pick a thing. Sometimes it's milk, and use that as the lens to like see your family's history. Like I was like, this kid's a genius, and she's like a STEM kid. Like she'll never write again.
Yeah.
Like you should write screenplays for A24.
Yeah. Maybe she'll have a change in college or later on.
She totally could.
Yeah, anything could happen.
That's incredible.
Isn't that so good?
Did you ever like keep in touch, being like, "Hey, let me know what you're doing in your life"?
I have their emails. Yeah,
that's
so like
good.
every once in a while. And you know who I also had? I had the daughter of Audra McDonald from
Wow.
And all year I played it cool because like I was her college advisor. So like I wrote her letter of recommendation. She goes to Brown. She's brilliant. And then like as she's in her graduation robes, I like went up to her. I was like, by the way, like it's very cool that your mom is Audra McDonald. I like had to let it slip. And she was like, oh, thanks.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would have played it as cool as you.
Well, you know what my thinking was? I was like, her mom's Audra McDonald, and this kid's dad like drives a cab. They're all my students, so I'm gonna try to treat them equally, even though like
that is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
100% the right thing to do.
I mean, every once in a while we would like talk about musicals or whatever, and I would have to like pretend I was like, your mom's like not in Beauty and the Beast.
In that situation, I think you could be like, by the way, I'm aware that your mom, I am a huge fan. Yeah. I think in that situation you could bring that up.
I think we had a wink. Yeah. Well,
okay.
You know how I found out that this kid she wasn't my student yet, but one day like Audra McDonald just like in the lobby of the school with like a baby stroller, and I was like, is that Audra McDonald? Does she have a child? And then like I Google it, and she like had like a second kid late in life with her new husband. And my student ended up writing an essay about like I was in the room for the birth of like my little sibling, and that was her kind of like very beautiful essay. So I work at a smart kid high school. It's Bard High School, early college.
Oh yes, I know Bard.
Yeah.
So the kids are. Here's the thing: the kids are all really academically smart, but like writing's the hardest thing. So I have kids who have 4.0 GPAs, like brilliant, and they come to me and their writing is like all over the place because it's kind of like it's the last thing to click. You can have really good ideas, but to like put anything on the page. I mean, you guys write.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest thing.
Writing is something that is so like almost nearly impossible. And right now, like I'm at a place with it, like in grad school, where I still feel like, you know, when you're in like your first month of doing stand up and like you feel like right now, like I haven't been doing stand up for that long, but I feel that it would be very rare for me to truly like lose a crowd completely and not be able to win them back.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
Like my first year, I could lose a crowd and never be able to win them back. And that's how I feel about writing right now, where I feel like there's like I could have it and then it could slip through my fingers and I wouldn't know how to get it back. And I hope that as I keep growing as a writer, like I'll gain more competency in that. And I already see it happening, right?
Yeah,
I already can see the improvement. But it's really a hard thing to do, especially like for people who don't grow up writing, because I grew up writing and journaling and stuff. Like people don't learn that writing is just playing.
Yeah.
And people don't learn that.
That's a great way to
freedom.
That's a great way to conceptualize it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was not a big writing. I was also not a big reading kid. I was not. Reading was like really difficult for me as a kid, so I didn't gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
I do remember what I did my college essay about though.
What was it?
It was about this one time that I went to see this concert of an oud player. Do you know the oud?
What?
Yeah, I was a music major. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the oud.
The oud, it's a sort of like it's basically
The oud, the ugo, and the super ugo.
What? So, it was a Freud pun.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's okay. No reading in that brain. Okay, Leah Michelle.
I thought you meant like I thought you meant like Hugo with a silent H. Ugo, like they say in French. That's what I
Ugo.
thought you were saying. So I was like,
Oh, you
super
thought I was speaking
Ugo.
French, like your schizophrenic teacher. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were playing the oud, or someone was playing the oud.
Yeah, no, it was it's sort of like an Arab
Yeah.
guitar,
Oh,
with
well,
a
now
very
I feel
big body.
Now I feel like something. Didn't know what the
Yeah.
Arab instrument was.
Yeah. No, but it was I went to a concert in upstate New York of this guy called Simone Shaheen, and he was doing this concert of playing this beautiful music, but beforehand he gave this little talk explaining how different the writing process is for like his kind of music, and he said that there were like sometimes 74 beats to a measure in his kind of music, and it was just like it was a total different reframing of like how I thought music could be organized, because like I grew up, I mean, like I did like lots of musicals in high school, and you have like 4/4 time, and it's everything is so regimented and so like mathematically sort of static. And it was just it was the first time that it clicked for me that structure can be whatever you want in something, and that there are multiple structures to how something can work. And it was just talking about like how locked in the ways I perceive things can be, and how grateful I was that it was broken open by just one event that I was taken to.
Hell yeah. If you came to me with that essay, I'd be like, now we're cooking.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where, like, for me, it's like sometimes it's even less about the writing and more about like if you have an idea like that, where I'm like, oh, cool. Like, there's so many places we can go. That's what's exciting about that type of thing. Do you remember your college essay?
Yeah.
I did. I played baseball on the boys team, even though I wasn't very good.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, the essay kind of became about how I wasn't very good, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And I just did it anyway, which I guess is not such like I wish I'd had more like minor details strewn in there, because it was more of like a concept kind of vibe. But I enjoyed writing about it.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, like, and like when we were in school, I think I'm a couple years older than us, but like I feel like the way we talk about gender and sexuality is so much like
So
more
different.
advanced now. Like the language my students are using, I'm like, oh, this is not how we were talking when I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're writing, like, that's such a cool topic.
Yeah, it was fun. And it was fun, like, I don't know, like, for some reason I didn't want to play softball. I play softball now, like, in the park, but
She's really good. I want to go see.
Yeah.
I love saying it because I enjoyed it so much. I really did.
I feel like you liked watching me like run around.
It was great.
You and Tina like watching me. I mean, honestly, like
we're eating bagels. I was like, this is so fun.
if someone said to me like you have to work within the realm of your natural abilities, right? And the truth is, I'm not like a natural, like, I am athletic, but I'm not like good enough to be like a world tier athlete. But if someone was like, if you had to like give up stand up, give up like performance, give up writing, and in exchange we gave you the ability to be like a major league baseball player, I'd do it.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
I love sports. I'm a sport
You're
gay.
a Yankees fan.
Yeah, I just got the tattoo.
I heard that was very exciting because I'm a Mets fan, but like I'm rooting for the Yankees. Like I am, I'm fine
Yeah,
with
good.
that.
It's New York. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
fun.
You know what? I was sad when the Mets got eliminated.
It was sad.
Yeah.
We sucked,
Good acting.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
LaGuardia trained sympathy.
Sorry, let me do that again. I was sad when the Mets were eliminated.
Cheat out.
I keep picturing you in that class with a Me Too guy and a psycho rich person being like, "We're both unhinged. Let's help each other."
Do you think that whoever got Me Too'd like looks at our podcast and sees the tattoo and just be like, oh, one of us really like let it go. Woo, glad to be me. Glad to be me.
No one makes it out unscathed. Everybody's got something.
Oh my god! I'm sure one day I will run into him again because he still lives in New York with his family.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'll run into him
So
and
funny.
be like, "How's being Me Too?"
There's a big joke in my show about how I wasn't good at sports, and my parents sent me to sports journalism camp.
That's hilarious.
That's how I found out I was bad.
What? I didn't even know. I couldn't. If you asked me to list every different kind of like subreddit of camp, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like all the different kinds, I could never come up with
Never
sports
come up with
journalism.
that. Not a million years.
Yeah, it was at
How did they
Hofstra.
find it?
It was my mom taught at Hofstra, and they had like this like. They have like a broadcast. I think they were trying to get kids to like go to the college eventually. So like we'll do 2
Oh.
weeks of like what the college program
What
is.
was that like?
It was a lot of like we interviewed one of the football coaches, or like we'd watch baseball and put it on mute and call the game. But the broadcast is not synced up to what you're talking about. So they would just like randomly show graphics and you'd be like, oh, as I was just saying, like here's this graphic that popped up. So like it wasn't perfect, but you know what it taught me? As a kid, like I like sports. And so there was always a part of me that's like, oh, maybe I'll go into that. And it taught me a very valuable lesson, which is sometimes there's things in your life that I finished the camp and I was like, oh, I like sports, but I don't want it to be my job. I was like, this is a different thing. And then so when I found comedy and I really liked it, and I was like, do I want that to be my job? It just like hit different.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It wasn't that one of those things that I conflated. But yeah, sport. I hear you. It's very cool you played sports with boys. I love that.
I enjoyed it.
That's a wonderful thing that you were able to recognize, like, oh, I want to enjoy this as like a hobby or something purely that is just for me and does nothing, serves no other function in my life. Because I don't think I've found something like that. Something that I enjoy purely separate from anything career.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people also have this
I mean,
issue.
it's okay to like have your hobbies just be like hanging with your friends. Right, Lucas?
Yes.
Isn't that your hobby?
Yes. I haven't monetized this at all in any way.
Look at us monetizing our hang. It's like the most cynical way to look at it. Yeah, we're monetizing this friendship.
Speaking of which, MeUndies.
Yeah. No, obviously, like, no, there are lots of things. I enjoy cooking. I love spending time with friends. It's like, and
You
it's
love berries. You've been really into berries lately.
I have raspberries in the fridge.
Hell yeah, you do.
You've been so into like ube and like baobab and shit.
Yeah. I love
Exotic fruits.
I love exotic fruits. I actually just got in the mail 3 different kinds of chili sauce from Momofuku.
Oh, you got I'm a big David Chang guy.
Yeah,
Are
I
you?
love him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you cook?
Not well, but it's a thing that like I'd like to.
If you'd like to,
Get more
like
into.
you can cook. I think.
I
cook,
think
I
so.
cook a lot,
Encouraging.
and I think it's definitely something that like should be demystified because it's not that hard and like anyone can
It
learn
really, it is
Yeah.
not.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
think you're selling yourself short. I think if you enjoy it, you probably can.
Yeah.
No one who finds joy in it like can be bad for that long. I genuinely believe that if you love something and you do it a lot, at some point it's impossible to be terrible.
Oh, that's interesting.
I really believe
I agree
that.
with that.
I like that idea. So part of me like the mess stresses me out where it's like I'm busy. I got to do like this
Yeah,
other shit.
yeah.
And so I'd love to like have more time, I guess, to like dive into that. But you know, it's funny when I walked in here, I immediately thought of that exact thing you're talking about, which is you have a Rubik's Cube. And I got really into Rubik's Cubes a few years ago. And for me, it's a thing that like I'll never be able to monetize, but it's just like a thing I do for me. Like that's my cooking.
Would be pretty funny if you monetized it. Gabe does Rubik's cubes. Watch and learn.
Yeah, I worked at a camp for a long time, and a camper taught me how to do it. And then we've since become friends. He like graduated from college.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's right now. We talked on the phone yesterday. He's the age now that I was when I met him. And I was like, can you imagine you being you right now, being friends with a 14-year-old? He's like, that is weird.
Finally, someone said
summer
it.
camp too. Some of the kids were fucking cool.
Yeah,
Like,
cool as hell.
there were kids where I was like, "You're my homie," and then they'd start crying about something. I'm like, "Right, you're 12."
Yeah, and they'd be like, fuck the Red Sox. You'd be like, you're going to detention.
Yeah, you're going. Time out, everyone.
It is always it's a really cool experience when you have like a younger cousin who you like spend time with them maybe at like Thanksgiving or something, and you realize, oh, you're becoming a really cool person.
Yeah.
That's a really nice moment when you see a child like developing into someone you know is going to be a great person.
It's the coolest.
Yeah.
It's
I got
just a
that
sweet
group
moment.
at camp sometimes. They'd be like friends who knew each other. And I'd be like, oh, it would be cool to be 14 with you guys right now, to dick around. Like,
I
that's
agree.
Yeah.
I want to be in your friend group.
That's
Yeah.
that's adorable. That's
And
a
you know-
lovely thing.
You know who else are some cool kids?
Oh, amazing transition right there.
Well done.
Our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine you know about this segment.
Oh, I do.
yeah.
Um, We're gonna give some advice.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna hear some people out.
I got one pulled up. Okay. Bird story person here again.
Oh, someone wrote in about birds. I guess that's the context.
I'm not sure I remember the context.
No, I don't think we read that one yet.
Oh.
Sorry, you can tell we don't vet these at all.
You know when you do a callback to a joke that you didn't do earlier? You're like, You're like, oh no.
Oh no.
All right, I'll read it anyway. Okay, so I was just listening to an early episode of the podcast and heard Gabby say that tomatoes are fruits, not vegetables. I feel the strong need.
Stupid interaction.
Yeah.
Actually,
Hot goss.
I feel like that was like in the thick of COVID and I was like socially starved. So I was just sitting there on Zoom, like salivating, like, did you guys know tomatoes are a fruit? Anyway.
We were all broken, I guess.
Yeah, we were working inside doing VR comedy.
Yeah, in the metaverse. See you soon. I feel the strong need to clear this up because tomatoes are actually both a fruit and a vegetable. The reason it can be both is that fruit is a botanical term that refers to the part of the plant that holds the seeds, as tomatoes do. Vegetable isn't a botanical term. There's no way to define a vegetable botanically, as the term includes fruits, leaves, roots, etc. Vegetable is a culinary term that refers to any plant part that we eat that isn't a sweet fruit, which is important to know when debating fruit salad, because all the fruits that we commonly commonly also refer to as vegetables should not be put in fruit salad.
Is there a question?
Nope.
No.
I will say that was a good fact though.
That's fascinating.
I just got a funny idea for a joke from that, actually.
Oh yeah, wait.
Well, just like, do you guys remember like being a kid and people would say to you like, tomatoes are a fruit, but they would do it as this like gotcha, as if it's gonna like rock your world. Like it was gonna like blow your mind and like you would never be the same afterwards.
yeah.
I just thought about that.
It reminds me when Republican politicians said that pizza was a vegetable because
Yes.
Classic.
Our great times.
That kid grew up and became a politician.
Yeah, that kid grew up to be Mitt Romney. Okay.
Hit it.
Hello, equally important co-host. Thank you.
Wow, that's nice.
One time someone wrote in, hello, Lucas and co-host. So that's an allusion to that.
Yeah.
And so now the listeners riff on it. They'll be like, hey,
that's kind.
Gabby and co-host.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
They indulge me. Thank you all. One time in class, I was sitting with my friends, most notably my friend who we will call Linda Tripp. And we were going around saying what our spirit STDs are. Like a spirit animal, but for STDs. I made up the idea. Okay, this sounds fun as hell.
I like this.
And I
like this
knew
group
mine,
of
but I
people.
couldn't remember the name. When the question got to me, I said chlamydia. You guys will not be able to guess how chlamydia is spelled in this submission. But I knew that wasn't right. And 10 minutes later in a conversation, I just yelled syphilis in the middle of class. And everyone heard, including my 29-year-old science teacher who has 4 kids and did a backflip in the middle of class. That feels like a non sequitur. My question is, what would your spirit STDs be? Ooh.
Great question.
Ooh, that's
Is gangrene an STD?
Gangrene's
if
a
you
fun
do it
one.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
I mean the clap. What a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Clap is great.
fun thing
Elgani.
to announce.
I go crabs.
crab.
Underrated.
That is your You have a crab. You have a crab like essence.
I see you as sort of like a crab rising.
Crab. Okay, what's my son? What's my son?
I would say gonorrhea sun, crab rising.
I love how we're all just avoiding HIV.
Yeah.
Just like no one.
Herpes moon.
Herpes moon. Okay.
Yeah, because herpes is universal, like you.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I know.
Chickenpox is a form of herpes. It is a herpes virus.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't call it kid herpes. We call it chickenpox. And
kinda messed
that
up.
I support.
I had
No, I think it's
chickenpox.
censorship.
Did you? I had chickenpox when I was like 2, I think.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a thing that would happen at LaGuardia. It's like you heard about that teacher? He gave all those kids,
Gave all those kids
Yeah.
chickenpox.
Gave everyone. Wait, what about you?
And
What
I
ab-
would have stared in the camera.
yeah.
I think I am the clap.
Okay.
I see it for you.
Yeah.
It's like attention grabbing. I don't really know what it is. I don't want to derail this too much, but when I worked at summer camp, it was a camp for kids with illnesses, and we would be like, "Do you have a favorite illness? Like, what illness defines you?" Because every counselor had like a type of kid where they'd be like, the kids with hemophilia, like I just get them."
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a muscular dystrophy guy. I'm like, those kids, like I just get the essence. So like I respect this question a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say the clap. What's my moon? Oh God.
By the way, that wasn't even part of the question. We just asked.
No,
you.
I like that. I think it's
Little
I
bit
think
of
it's an
spice.
extra dimension. It's good.
No, that's a thing that got cut from the show that I'm trying to bring back is this idea that like men like to rank things, and that women prefer like astrology where it's like I'm this, but I'm also this rising, and like it's more complicated. Like there's like nuance to it. So I love applying the astrology logic to the STD spirit animal question. This thing has something for everyone. This is really complicated.
But yeah, STD moon.
Yeah,
So
STD
we got
moon.
clap sun.
Clap sun. I would love to. Gangrene's a fun one. Rickets is not a STD. It just sounds fun. I guess I wish I had a list of STDs.
Rickets is just an old man that lives down the river.
Old
Should
man
I
Rickets.
just look up list of STDs?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's probably a bunch more that we don't know about. That's the thing.
Totally. We're destigmatizing right now. We're doing this for the
Yeah.
culture.
Hold on. Does anyone want a time to be real? Post
Oh shit! It's time to be real. Are you on Be Real?
I'm not, but now I am.
Then you're being fake.
It's true.
Do you know about it?
I do because of the SNL sketch. Does that mean I'm 100?
Oh yeah. That SNL sketch was pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't liked everything they put out recently, but it's pretty
I
good.
didn't know. So I didn't know those guys, but one time I played basketball with the redheaded guy.
Oh,
Ben.
yeah.
Ben Marshall.
Yeah, like years ago. And then I was like, is that the guy I played basketball with?
Yeah. If you're, do you play basketball often? Because I've been trying to get into it.
Yeah, there's a Sunday comics gamer. There used to be for years. I haven't been getting emails about it. But for years there was like a Sunday comics game, and every once in a while, you guys are gonna like this. Every once in a while, they would forget to BCC everyone, and so I just have like 250, like sometimes high-profile New York comedians emails. And so as I was inviting people to the show to comp them, I was like, I went through the basketball email, which I probably should not have done.
Incredible.
I like that though. That's like that's a sweet spot of being devious. I like that.
I was like,
That's
sorry,
guerrilla
Alex
marketing.
Moffat, you're getting an
Yeah.
email.
Who knew? New York City basketball. All right, it says Lucas Arnold just posted to Be Real.
That's
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
indeed I did. Wait, do you have your ideal spirit STD?
My ideal as spirit STD. Gangrene is not one, but mine is gangrene because I go against the grain.
Indeed you do. In gangrene you do. Yes. I have another one pulled up. Hey, gay people and malnourished John Mulaney. I would like to confess my sins to you. Great intro. My parents divorced when I was a baby, and my parents had split custody. When I was 9 or 10, my dad lived in an apartment. My dad lived in an apartment by a toy store, so every weekend I'd go there and buy something. I was only 9 or 10, so my child money went quick, and birthdays and holidays were not near. I was afraid to ask my dad for money, so I stole. Every weekend I stole $5 to $10 from my mom and her boyfriend's wallets, so I could spend it at the toy store. This went on for months. Once December rolled around, I took a break so my elf on the shelf wouldn't see and tell Santa. My mom's boyfriend found out and moved his wallet after making the remark out loud, "You know, I feel like I don't have as much cash in my wallet as I used to." He didn't tell on me, but we both knew. One day, I got guilty after stealing like $2 to $3, so I told my mom over text at like 2 a.m. how guilt-ridden I was, but instead of telling her I stole and used it to buy toys, I told her I was using the money and donating it to kids with cancer. Like one of those donation jars, I told her I put money in those. She believed me. She then screenshotted it and posted it on Facebook about how sweet of a child I was. Every year when Facebook does that, look back on your memories from this date. It comes up to remind me. Anyways, that's my sin. Sorry, Mom. I love you.
Is this not the plot of Dear Evan Hansen?
Too musical theater. Way too musical theater.
The lie's always worse than the deed, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
That's all. And the fact the reminder.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that just means that like that
Probably got so many likes.
this
So
kid's
many
dad's
likes.
apartment is full of toys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's running
There's a lot of
Ponzi
reminders.
scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere this kid goes, Tons. Wow.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely got so many likes. Lucas is like, why did that go viral? Like my TikToks instead.
I need a fake charity now. Oh God.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, like, it's also, it's like we were talking about earlier. It's like a low stakes thing that like feels so much bigger.
Yeah.
And then like the lie made it so much. Like I was like, oh, you admitted to it, but then it got so much worse.
Oh,
I feel like
goodness.
they chickened out at the last minute. We're like, let's pull in this nefarious little thing.
It would be funny if this kid told their mom on her deathbed, be like, "Hey, I didn't even give it to kids with cancer.
Would be pretty funny, Lucas.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
You think his mom would be like, show me the receipts? Where's the GoFundMe emails?
Or just be like, you know what? I get the toys now. Fuck you.
the mom like haunts the kid with like a group of Make-A-Wish kids who all died. Where are the toys?
What if these toys were given for adult Happy Meals?
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid was using them to buy sex toys.
Yes.
Because he can't get laid because of his child herpes. Boom, 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 boom.
Callbacks on callbacks,
It's
baby.
the third
Let's
act of the
go.
Herald.
Yeah, the
Amazing.
third act of Herald. Shout out to improv, baby.
Oh.
All
wow.
right, last one. Where is it? We got it right here.
Yeah.
This is a short question. I'm debating getting back into dating. It's been almost 4 years since my last partner, so I've most likely changed a good bit. I don't feel I'm the perfect package yet, but I don't know my weaknesses. How do I make my product more attractive? Well, you're not a product. Let's start there.
She's the LaGuardia kid.
Yeah.
You gotta be a brand.
How do I make my brand more famous?
First off, make a convincing lie to get rid of the old Me Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah. Let me. Well, I would say like talk to friends about like what if there is anything they think you should work on. That's a good thing to ask
Or
people
that
you
they
trust.
love about you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think friends helping you with, like, for me, like when I have a dating profile, like on Hinge or something, I'm just like, I just hand it to women. I'm like, what do you want
yeah.
to see? Because like I think that helps a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, your friends are more objective. Because like the things like we're sensitive about, your friends will be like, you care about that?
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit? I don't think about that when I think about you at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, be upfront with your friends, being like, "Hey, if you don't feel like you have good photos of yourself for a dating profile, be like, hey, would you mind like helping me take some better photos that just show me off in a better light?
Totally.
Because I don't have them. I would like those. Just ask for that.
10% effort on the photos are big. Sometimes people have these like group photos, or like, I'm like, the fact that you would choose this photo, like you're so much more attractive than this photo is. I'm like, somebody's got to help you out. You gotta
Exactly.
like see yourself better. And sometimes it's a laziness thing. Like when I'm picking a dating profile, I'm like, these 5 good. But if you put in 10% effort, I have faith in this person, and they didn't roast you.
Yeah. What do you think, like, you were saying earlier, like, your show is about, like, not having as many, like, friends as you would have liked, or, like, not knowing how to connect, like, with other men, like, growing up.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that, like, came into play, like, in your dating life, like, with people helping you out trying to date?
In a certain sense, where it's like I have these, I make a distinction in the show. It's like I don't have friends, but I have bros, and they're all like married. They've all dated one person their whole lives, and so they give me very like it's almost like a rom-com where they give like married dating, dating advice from married people. I'm like, you're not out in these streets. You don't know what it's like. So that times it's sometimes difficult. But honestly, like my biggest advice, like, is like even sometimes I remember getting my dating profile redone like at the bar at QED, like between a set.
Oh,
and it's like some
incredible.
female comic was like, let me see that. It's like, no, yes, like
That's
change this,
awesome.
include that you go to therapy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you go to therapy, include it. Don't be shy about that. Women are into that. And I find like even if they don't like that prompt on Hinge, like it'll come up later. Like if they
Right.
like a photo, it's like, oh, it's cool you're in therapy. It's like, yeah, therapy's important. That's a really good question. I don't have. They're more unhelpful. Just like in everything else, they're pretty unhelpful. My idiot bros, who I love.
I
but they're just
love,
not that helpful.
I love idiot bros. I also have idiot bros, you know.
Yeah.
That's good.
They
They
Yeah.
keep you honest.
Every
Yeah.
queer woman has idiot bros. I think. Yeah. That's right, baby boy.
Gays and
I'm here to fill a quota. If nothing else, I'm here to. Yeah.
I guess I would say, like, don't think of yourself as a product, and like maybe don't even think about what other people want. Like, think about what you want. And when you know what you want, that's what's going to make it more likely for you to attract like quality people.
Oh yeah, it is one of the most attractive qualities I have been told from every direction of just someone who knows what they want and it's clear.
Yeah.
That is it's a big thing. Figuring out what you want, and then that will naturally going to be expressed in how your dating profile looks, how you come across in person. It's going to take care of a lot on its own.
Totally.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't know in high school, it's like people will fuck you. I think if I could give my 16-year-old self advice, like, it might not be like the high school rom-com where it's like, I want to date like the cheerleader from like or whatever, but like there's so many different types of people out there.
And there's so many different like ways in which people will find you attractive.
Yes.
There's so many different types that people can have that isn't as immediately obvious based on like TV and film that you see. There's so many different,
We were talking about it with Sam, where he's like, I love bellies. You guys were having that belly conversation. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, that's so cool. And Sam's like conventionally attractive.
Yeah,
and
he's
like
gorgeous.
people come up to me all the time, like, oh my God, you know Sam? Like, you're friends with Sam? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, he's in the Daddy
so
Bears.
conventionally attractive. Can you introduce me?
I'm like, well, you're a 60-year-old man with a big belly because it's not going to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't.
Daddy Bear.
Yeah. Sam is the reason I'm doing the show off Broadway.
Really?
Because I didn't get any press in Edinburgh. And then Kate Copstick, who's like the big reviewer, was looking for people. She's like, people who are overlooked who didn't get any reviews. And Sam like tagged me in a thing. And she came to see me because of Sam.
That's
Wow.
And that
amazing.
review got me the New York run. So
That's
it's all because of
awesome.
Sam.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the best.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Sam
Shout out
Morrison.
to Sam Morrison.
Last week's guest.
Yes, last week's guest. But for this week's guest, we got a final prompt for you.
We do indeed.
What?
It's I'm not sure if you're familiar, but if it's called Self-Perception Corner, where we ask our guests to describe how they believe they are perceived by other people, and then we say how we actually perceive you.
I feel like a mirror should sponsor this segment,
Yeah.
like a mirror company.
This is sponsored by
Mirror
Refraction.
Science.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I was thinking about this a little bit on the train right here. I think I have more fears about how people perceive me. Sometimes I'm worried that people think I'm like too serious or too like self-possessed, and I try very hard not to be those things. So I'm worried. Worried's a strong word. At my worst, I'm like, oh, I don't want people to perceive me that way. And like my hope is that people perceive me as like pretty chill and like nice to talk to and like can talk about anything. And at my worst, I'm like, I hope people don't see me as like off-putting and unfriendly.
Two words come to mind when I think of you: grounded and generous.
Oh.
That's all I think of. What I like. As soon as I met you, you were just such an inviting spirit. You had me on your showcase show, which was in Edinburgh, which was so lovely. And you just sounded so busy as well. You were doing two shows. You were doing your own, and then you were also running a showcase. It was a lot. But just everything about you, I was like, oh, this is such a wonderful guy. And then every single bit of your stand-up, I was like, that I've seen, I always think, oh, this is a really good guy to spend time with.
Oh.
Everything about you, that's what comes across. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. I would say eloquent for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think serious is true. I think you're probably serious, but also like I don't mind that. And I would say friendly. I don't think serious and unfriendly are like the same thing. Like
You're not serious in a way that drains energy, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's
I
good.
think what it is you're not self-serious, but you are thoughtful. You're like I like just get the sense from just meeting you now that you are like very interested in other people, which is like I think self-serious people are like not interested in other people at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really kind. This should be the whole podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna clip this.
This is so
We're
nice.
just gonna clip around this. Everything else we said, fuck it.
No, I mean, it's really kind of you to say that. I really do enjoy talking to you guys and like learning about like even just like theater stories or like getting in trouble stories in middle school. I'm like, oh, like you get to know somebody's vibe by like what upset them when they were 12.
Oh, it's like the only thing that matters.
Have you read the book? Do you know the book Quiet? It's about
No,
being
I don't.
introverted. And my sister got it for me, and I've read half of it, so I've read the whole thing. And it's basically about about introverts. And they're like, yeah, like when you're a kid, if you're sensitive, like you're high reactive, meaning like you react to things like getting in trouble in middle school or something like that that hurts you in some way. And so my sister was like, a couple months later, she's like, hey, did you read the book? And I was like, I'm a high reactive dog. I'm sensitive.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay, you know? Yeah, it's really nice to get to know you guys. To even say that even in passing is very kind.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a good day today.
So
Fucking better. Girl will be so mad.
And so this is the point where we ask you to plug and promote what you have going on. But first, the off-Broadway show, talk about that first and foremost.
Yeah, I'm doing the show. It's called Solo. I really believe in it. It's the only creative thing I've been working on for like a long time. It's a show about not having friends. It's one long story. It's a lot of jokes. It's at the Soho Playhouse for 8 shows to start. Hopefully one day longer. It's at 9:00. We got great guests. Chris Gethard, Anthony DeVito, Ariel Elias, Renan Hirschberg, Joe Iconis from Broadway.
Wow. That's awesome.
Lots of great guests. Sam Morrison, maybe, if he responds to my text, hopefully just now. And yeah, it's like a Birbiglia, Hassan Minaj kind of solo show. And it's a lot of jokes. And people seem to like it. I got some nice reviews because of Sam Morrison.
Nice. So socials, or is there a website for the show? How can people find it?
Yes,
and
if you just on Instagram, like it's in my link. And if you send me a DM, I'll send you a promo code. And that seems to be working. And the J Train podcast fans hit up my DM, so I'm sure the Meerkat fans.
Meerkat fans, you're better than them.
I'm gonna be
hit him up right now.
Destroy Jared Freed and everything he stands for.
Even if you don't buy tickets, just DM me for the Instagram for the code. I'll never know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you for letting me promote and come on the pod. It really means a lot to me. I did not do this with every podcast. I was very selective because I don't have that much time.
Right.
But
I'm very grateful that you came on because this was such a pleasure.
This was awesome.
Huge pleasure.
It made my heart warm.
Oh,
Get
absolutely. Me
here.
too.
You guys are
Okay.
the coolest.
I'll get out.
And you guys get to go for free, and your fans at a discount.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I love free shit. Gabby, what do you have going on?
What a question. Oh, this weekend I'm going to the When We Were Young emo festival.
Ooh.
I'm not like an
yeah.
emo girl, but my girlfriend's really into it. So I'm going to see there's going to be some crazy people watching. I've been trying to like veer away from plugging my shows cuz like I'll plug them on Instagram, and I hope you all follow me on Instagram. I'll plug stuff that's happening in my life. I'm getting really into arepas, the Colombian sort of pastry appetizer thing.
You're making them.
No, I'm just eating them.
Hell yeah. You were like, I love to cook. And I was like, oh, okay.
I actually would love to cook that. I'm not a great baker, so I'm not good with like the crust and stuff. So eat an arepa for me and enjoy it. Lucas, what do you got going
lovely. Get berries. Be like your boy Lucas. I love berries.
Get an ube extract.
Oh, ube extract and any ube you can is beautiful. It's delicious. No, I have a show on October 31st. And I also have my sketch group, 24 Hour Kiss Club. We have a show November 5th at Caveat. Tickets are available. You can find the 24 Hour Kiss Club on Instagram through my profile. If you don't follow it already, it'll take you right there to the show. Yeah, that's what I have going on at the moment.
Love Caveat. Did the show there.
Oh, you know what? I'll promote. I'm doing a show at Caveat as well. Divya Gunasekaran and I are starting a new show called If We Did It, and it's a comedy and murder mystery show.
Hell yeah.
I'm also planning on starting my own stand-up show. I have a name picked out, and I've just recently met with a producer, and we had an amazing little lunch, and so stay tuned for that because I think it's a really fun idea. I'll tell you guys afterwards what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Thank you,
Can't
Gabe, for
wait.
coming
Thank
on.
you for having me. You're the coolest.
We've been 2 Nosy Meerkats. Remember, pick your STD.
And stick to it.
And dream big. Good night.
Nighty night.